Hello, chess fans. Welcome to another edition of Chess Chat, a program brought to you live from the Workers Credit Union studio at Fitchburg Access Television. I am your host, George Merijanian, Program Director of the Wachusett Chess Club at Fitchburg State University. This club, the second oldest chess club in Massachusetts, meets every Wednesday evening in rooms 142 and 143 of the Fitchburg State University. And with me for this edition of Chess Chat, the 171st edition of Chess Chat, is our award-winning director Darren Dame of Fitchburg, a recipient of FATV's prestigious Boulder Award in 2009. He's assisted in the control room and also on camera by fellow resident and longtime Wachusett Chess Club member Brian Bigelow. And sitting across from me is my associate, trusty colleague, chess writer, chess photographer, Wachusett Chess Club statistician, very active tournament player, my co-host Dave Couture of Westminster. Hello, Dave.
Hi, George.
Dave, it's always a pleasure seeing you on Chess Chat.
Yep, same.
And we have, for our viewers, some exciting news. We have an event, a chess event, that ended just last week.
Yeah.
What was it? Where was it played? What was this event I'm talking about that you're going to identify for our viewers?
The FIDE Olympiad, which happens every 2 years normally.
Okay, so this is a chess Olympiad.
Yep.
And it was the 44th chess Olympiad, because the first one was held actually in 1927 in London. That was the first Olympiad. Now, what is an Olympiad? I mean, is it similar to the Olympics?
Similar to the Olympics, where every nation sends a team, basically two teams, an open team and a women's team.
Right. Okay.
That consist of usually, I think, 5 players, 4 who play with 1 alternate.
Okay.
So nations from all over the world send their teams.
Now, for this where was this Olympiad played?
Chennai.
Chennai.
India.
That's in India.
Yeah.
Now, do you know actually what Chennai was known as before it became Chennai in 1996, by the way?
Ooh.
You would probably know Madras. You heard of Madras?
Yes.
In fact, tonight I wore a Madras shirt.
Oh.
Yeah, which is light cotton, with a tartan design.
Yep.
So, yes, it was held in Chennai, India, and it was not supposed to be held in Chennai. It was originally scheduled to be in Russia for 2022.
Right.
And originally in a place called Khanty-Mansiysk in Russia, and then they later changed it to Moscow. But then, because of this Russian invasion in Ukraine, the World Chess Federation said, no, we're not holding the 2022 Olympiad in Russia.
Right.
They sought out other countries to see who could come forth and help out in organizing an Olympiad.
In short order. Yeah.
Very short order. In a matter of 3 to 4 months, the Indian Chess Federations stepped forward and says, we'll do it.
Right.
Give us a chance. We'll put it there. Right. And they pulled it off.
They did, yeah.
Kudos to the Indian Chess Federation, the players, the organizers, the directors. They did a superb job.
Yep.
Now, as you say, there were 2 divisions. There was an open division, which, by the way, had 187 teams. I'm looking at my notes here. In the open division, there were 187 teams, I believe, 180 teams from 86 nations. Now, the host country, India, was given an additional team in each of the divisions, in both the open and the women's team.
Right.
But you actually had 186 nations competing in the open, and in the women's division, you actually had 162 teams from 160 nations. Mm-hmm. Again, with India having an additional team in each of those divisions. Yeah. Now, would you like to know how many players altogether were playing in the open? I have the records. In the open division, huge, 1,737 players were playing in the open division, and in the women's division was 937. Mm-hmm. So that was close to what, 2,700, close to 2,700. That's a big turnout, and they had spectators. The first time they had the Indian players, the Indian chess players came out in full force, plus also the people from other countries who went there and were able to watch the Olympiad firsthand. Now, who won this? Who won in the open division? Because we're going, once you identify who that team is, we're going to have Darren actually, he's going to show some photos from the event.
Yeah, so it was a total surprise. Uzbekistan won the open.
Yes, the team from Uzbekistan, and that was not expected at all.
Not expected. The U.S. team was expected to win easily.
The U.S. team, consisting of all grandmasters, on paper had the highest average rating of all the teams, and they were expected to win. Now, how did the U.S. team actually finish?
They ended up 5th.
Okay. All right, so we have a photo that Darren has for us, and this is a photo of the victorious team from Uzbekistan. And this was a very young team.
Right, so all the people standing behind the flag were the players and the coach.
Now, I want to give credit to these players. I want to give their names, if so briefly. We had actually on first board Nordirbek Abdusatorov, 17 years old, Nordirbek Yakuboyev, 20 years old on board 2. You had Jakov Javokhir Sindarov, a very difficult name, 16 years old. Then you had Shamsidin Vokhidov, 20 years old, and the reserve player who is probably in this photo is Jahongir Vakhidov. He was the oldest one, 27 years old.
Wow!
So there you have the victorious Uzbekistan team who never won. Uzbekistan has never won an Olympiad. So kudos for Uzbekistan. Now I'm going to have actually Darren just show some other photos, and we'll identify who these players are once we see Darren. Darren can do them at random, and we'll clearly identify. Okay, we have 2 layers of photos. On the top, we actually have all the players from the U.S. men's. It's not a men's team; it's an open division.
Open division.
So on the left, you have Fabiano Caruana, who was actually at one time number 2 in the world rating-wise. But he was on first board, Fabiano Caruana. Next to him is Levon Aronian, who, by the way, he no longer plays for Armenia. He was actually born in Armenia.
Right.
He has switched federations from Armenia to the United States.
Just within the last year, roughly.
Within the last year, right, exactly. So he's on board 2. The next player is Wesley So, was born in the Philippines, but he's board 3. He's there in the middle. Next to him, the 4th over, is Lanier Dominguez, born in Havana, Cuba, but now plays for the U.S. He was on board 4. And our alternate player on the far right is Sam Shanklin, Grandmaster Sam Shanklin, who was born in Berkeley, California. And he went to school in Brandeis. He was educated in Massachusetts in Brandeis. Now, at the bottom, we're going to put the players from left to right. We have Irina Krush, who's the highest rated, in fact, the only grandmaster among women. Irina Krush on the left. Next to Irina is actually somebody we know very well, Carissa Yip, who was the Wachusett Chess Club champion in 2014, who won the U.S. Women's Championship in 2021. Next to her is Anna Zatonsky, another. In fact, didn't Anna Zatonsky win the Women's World Champion one time? No. U.S. Women's Champion. She's a former U.S. Women's Champion. I take that back. Now, next, the 4th one over is Tata Abrahamian, who lives in California, who's, I think, a women grandmaster. And the last one is the one who played on board 1 for the U.S. women's team. And she was born in Uzbekistan, but is now a U.S. resident, citizen. And her name, I want to give her name, because she is known as, her name is Gulruh Begin. Carissa said that they call her Begin. Begin Tochi Janova. And she was at board 1 for the U.S. women's team. And by the way, the women's team, the U.S. women's team finished in what place?
They finished 4th by a hair. They just
on tie-break points.
Barely missed out on the bronze.
Now the U.S. Open team, they finished in 5th place. But again, they were expected to finish actually in first place.
So we should probably start the game.
We're gonna present a game to our viewers that actually Carissa Yip played in round 6 of an 11-round tournament, and this was actually against a player from Venezuela. In fact, I have her name, Tairu Manuela Covira Contreras from Venezuela, a women international master. So in this game that Carissa played, what did Carissa have in this game?
She had white, and she opened with e4.
Okay, so she's playing e4 as the first move. Okay, a very common move, a very solid, strong move. Now, to which I'll call her Tairu, her first name.
Yep.
Tairu's played actually e5, so she responded with e5, pawn to e5. Okay, Carissa's second move. What did she play?
Already we have a surprise. Carissa plays d4, which I don't think we've ever shown before in Chess Chat. Probably never will see it again.
In the nearly 16 years we've been doing Chess Chat, and again, this is our 171st program.
Yep.
We have never presented our viewers a center game.
Yep.
This is a first. This is a first for Chess Chat.
And so Carissa provided us some notes.
Oh, okay. So
And what she said was it's an unusual opening which both I, on board 3, and Begim, on board 1, played. The rationale was that our opponents would likely be unfamiliar with theory, and the lines generally lead to some sort of promising attacking position. Surprisingly, neither of our opponents noticed until much further into the games that we were playing the same moves, but a coach from another team did and was suitably amused by our antics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. So this opening was playing on board 1.
And board 3.
That Begin was playing this on board 1, and Carissa was playing it on board 3.
Yep.
Okay. So it is now Tairu's reply, and she captures the pawn. E takes d4, the pawn on d4.
Right.
Okay. So how is Carissa going to continue here?
So she plays probably the most natural move. She takes back with the queen.
Okay, we see it on our demo board here. Queen takes d4. Okay, to which black responds with the knight on b8 going to c6 and attacking the queen.
Right.
So we have now the first threat of the game.
Yeah.
Now the queen cannot stay there.
Right. So in the database we looked at, almost always it's queen to e3 is played, but in fact Carissa and probably Begim also played queen c4.
Okay, so this is an unusual second move.
It's an unusual
yeah.
second or third move in an already unusual opening. So.
All right. Okay. So black says, okay, fine. I'm just going to continue with the development of my pieces.
Right.
And Tairu played knight f6, brings out another knight. Already she's ahead in development.
Right.
She's got two knights out.
Yeah.
And Chris has already moved her queen twice.
Right.
Yeah. All right. All right. So it's now Chris's move. What is she going to do?
So now Carissa plays knight c3, adding another defender to the pawn.
All right. All right. So it is now black's fifth move.
Yep.
And Tairu plays the bishop on f8 and plays it to b4, pins the knight. Of course, the bishop is protected by the knight on c6. Yep. So there's another development of a piece. And it looks like she's getting ready to castle.
Yeah, and Carissa said this is the most challenging move and the best.
Yes.
And she said there was another natural-looking setup was to put the bishop here, move this pawn to d6, and put the other bishop there. So
I see. Okay, that was an option she had.
But she thought that was too passive. So
all right, this is a more active move.
More active. So now Carissa plays bishop to d2, breaking the pin on the knight.
Okay, so now it's black's sixth move, and Tairu castles kingside. All right, already castle. All right, so what is Carissa going to do here in response to this?
And so then Carissa
castles. On her seventh move?
Her seventh move castles queenside.
Ah, so we have opposite side castling.
Right.
What does that signal when the players castle on opposite sides?
So usually, black is going to start attacking on this side, white's going to start attacking on that side.
Yeah, so it's a question of first come, first serve.
Who's going to get there first?
Yeah, who has the quickest attack against the king, the opposing king. All right, after Carissa castled, Tairu now takes this rook on f8, which has no future staying on f8, and goes over to the semi-open e-file. Rook e8 is actually her move on move 7. Okay.
So she's adding another attacker to the pawn.
Oh yes, is there a threat?
It's not a threat yet because it's guarded twice, but just to ease the pressure on, say, the queen having to defend, she plays f3.
So she defends. She bolsters the defense of the pawn on e4 with f3. Okay, now black's play is on the queen side.
Yep.
But black actually has to prepare for that.
Yep.
And black actually, Tairu plays a6, the pawn to a6.
Yep.
Okay, which is in preparation for a queen side attack.
Yeah, so Carissa's comment here, she said black begins to misstep. She said the best development is not with a6 and b5 because she points out that the bishop is in the way of the b pawn.
Yes. What is
she said She says there's no hooks
Right.
on the queen side.
Right.
And makes it difficult to develop a suitable attack. She
Right.
said the critical lines are instead where black ends up playing d5.
Right.
So
Okay, the immediate attack on the queen.
So she's already saying black is beginning to slip a little.
All right, so she finds fault with
Yep.
this move a6.
Yep.
Okay,
So Carissa starts attacking on the king side with g4.
that was her 9th move.
Yep.
All right, well, black says, okay, I'm going to follow my attack.
Yep.
Attack, b5, the pawn to b5 attacks the queen.
Yep.
And it's going to force that queen to move, to retreat again.
So the queen pulls back to e2.
All right, okay. So black has to continue with the development of pieces, by playing the bishop on c8 to b7.
Yep.
So that's her move.
Yep.
Bishop b7 was Tyru's 10th move.
And again, Carissa comments that here probably d5 would have been more challenging.
Oh, yes, that would have been good because remember, the queen is on the file with the rook.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we would have actually, that looks like a much better move, playing d5, yes.
Yep.
But she didn't do it.
She didn't
She
do it.
played bishop b7 instead. Okay, it is now Carissa's move. What does she do?
Carissa plays queen f2, and she said the point was to get it off of the
Yeah,
path
because
of
that
the
threat
rook.
was still there.
Yeah,
That if the
right.
queen stayed on e2, Tyro could have actually followed up with d5.
d5, yeah, d5, yeah.
So she wisely got that queen off that dangerous e file, the part of queen to f2. All right, so now black, Tyro, plays the knight to e5. She redeploys it over here, which actually, it's a redeployment of the knight.
Yep.
Yep. Maybe she's thinking sinking into c4 is a possibility.
Yep, sure.
That's a good possibility. All right, so what is Carissa going to do now? It's her.
She pushes g5, attacking the knight on f6.
All right, okay. Now, we have, before that knight, the knight is under attack.
Right.
But what the Tyru does actually on her move, 12th move, is she captures the knight on c3 with the bishop. Bishop takes c3. That's her move.
Yep.
Okay. How does Carissa respond to this bishop takes c3?
So she just recaptures,
Okay, bishop takes c3.
and now it's that bishop's attacking the knight.
Right.
On
But
e5. It's defended,
It's defended. However, this knight on f6 is under attack.
Right.
Okay. Now, here is where I'm interested to know whether Carissa makes a comment on Tyru's next move.
She does. Her comment was that black panics in the face of the pawn storm
and does this.
is driven to tactics that unfortunately don't work for her.
So this is a faulty move.
Yeah.
What Tyru does, she plays knight takes the pawn on e4.
Yeah.
So and Carissa says this is not a good move.
I mean, she said she panicked.
She panicked. Okay.
And probably better would have been to simply just
Redeploy the knight to
Redeploy the
h5.
knight, yeah.
Right. Okay. But she's going in for tactics.
maybe she didn't fully understand the tactics. I don't know.
right.
So,
Okay. All right.
so Carissa plays, pawn takes e4.
That was
pawn
her
takes
14th
knight, yeah.
move. And here is where Tyru, on her 14th move, plays bishop takes the pawn on e4
Right.
with an attack
on the rook.
on the rook on h1. Okay.
Yep.
What is Carissa going to do now?
Carissa plays bishop takes knight on e5.
All right. All right. So the bishop has taken the knight. Now, well, Tyru said, okay, I'm going to take the rook on h1 with the bishop. Bishop takes h1 is her move, move 15. All right, it is now Carissa's move. What does she do?
So she plays queen to g3, and she comments that
Yes.
the engine recommends bishop to f4, but she said she wanted to keep her bishop on this long diagonal because she wanted to take advantage of any dark square weaknesses around the king. So
But you said that she said that the computers
computer like bishop here best, but I mean
instead of
there's
queen. All right. All right.
nothing wrong with that.
And I'm sure that Tyru saw that there was a double attack on this pawn on c7 and said, no, we can't let this go.
Right.
So that's why she played d6, to blunt this attack on the pawn on c7.
Right.
So that was her 16th move, d6. Now what is Carissa going to do?
She plays bishop c3 again, keeping it on that same diagonal that she talked about.
Okay. All right. So what Tyru does is bring that bishop that had just taken the rook back to e4.
Right.
Okay, so she's here. She also is using it actually for defensive purposes over here, but also putting pressure on the pawn on c2. Okay, it's Carissa's move. What does she do?
Yeah, so
18
Carissa played knight e2. She said that knight h3 would have been better, but
Yeah.
anyway, she played knight e2.
All right, she played knight e2 instead. Okay. Now this next move by Tyru, we went over this game before. And
Yeah.
we couldn't figure out what the purpose of this queen c8 is. We just couldn't figure out why would you move. You would think actually you would be doing something as far as attacking.
Yeah, like a5 is what Carissa said.
A5
would have given her some chances.
Yeah.
She just said that this
Does she
allows.
comment on this move?
Yeah, all she says it just allows for the steamrolling with the pawns.
Right.
And it comes much too quickly. So she didn't try to figure out why she did that.
All right. So what does Carissa do? It's her
we'll never
ninth.
know.
Okay. Now,
H4 is what she plays.
Doesn't she play knight f4 first?
I'm sorry. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
You're
19th
right.
move.
I'm sorry.
She plays knight f4
Knight
on
F4.
a 19th move.
Yep.
All right, so Tyru brings the bishop back to g6. Bishop g6 is her 19th move.
Yeah, possibly hoping that she was just going to exchange it and simplify.
Right, maybe, simplify.
But
she would welcome an exchange of minor pieces.
Now Carissa plays h4.
Okay, now there's nasty threats here. With that pawn advancing.
Yep.
Okay, black. Tyru now plays the rook on a8 to b8 over on this file. It looks like it supports the advance of the pawn to b4. However, whose attack is going to be faster here?
Yeah.
It looks like white has some threats.
Yeah.
Oh, before we advance the pawn, we attack the queen first.
Right. Bishop h3.
Bishop a3. The queen is now under attack, so the queen has to move to save itself.
Yeah.
And Tyru now plays the queen to b7 on the 21st move.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Chris's move.
H5.
H5.
Continues the attack.
She attacks the bishop on g6. The bishop has to save itself.
Yeah.
The only square it can go to is e4. That's the only square where it's safe.
Yep.
And bishop e4 is what she plays on her 22nd move. Okay. All right, so now it's Chris's move. What is she doing?
Pawns just keep coming. She plays g6.
This is looking very nasty. We can see that white's attack, Chris's attack, is faster.
Yeah.
She's much faster on this. All right, so this is where Tyru now plays the pawn to f6. Just actually also blunts this bishop attack from c3 on this
trying to keep things locked up.
She would love the things locked up. Yeah. All right, so what is Chris going to do now?
But by moving that, she allows the bishop to come to e6 with a check.
A check. Oh. All right, now here is where, and I'm interested in knowing whether Chris has a comment on Tyru's next move.
She doesn't.
There's no comment on.
We had looked. King to h8 just didn't work, and I don't know if I remember all the lines.
No, because I think you said taking here,
sacking the bishop, temporarily. Yeah,
and it's good. This actually will really open up. This castle.
Black had taken back. It was threatening checkmate.
So that is why Tyru. Maybe
this was the best she had.
She took. She gave up the exchange. She gave up a major piece for a minor piece.
Right. She pretty much had to.
Rook takes the bishop on e6. Rook takes e6 is what she played. That was her 24th move, and of course, Carissa just takes back with the knight.
Takes e6.
Right. Now, Tyru says, "I'm going to lock things up."
Yeah.
Just with h6. So she plays the pawn to h6. Okay, so. It's the question is how does actually white penetrate? How does white make progress here after h6? It's Chris's 26th move.
It's her 26th move, and I think this is a nice move. Queen f4.
Right. Any comments from Carissa?
No comments the rest of the way.
But there is a threat.
But certainly the threat is
taking
bishop takes here.
Yes.
And then if the pawn takes back, she can take either here or here.
And there's a threat of mate.
And a threat of mate. I mean,
there's got to be
black is very much in trouble now.
In big trouble here. So that's the threat with the queen on f4. What Tyru does in response says, "Hey, I'll just continue my attack."
Might as well.
On the queen side, c5.
Desperation move.
So she plays c5 on her move. And what does Carissa do?
And so now that the d pawn is unprotected, I know Carissa takes.
If she kept the pawn on c7, she would not have lost that pawn on c6.
But there's not a lot she can do.
So after queen to a6, all right. So now Tyru brings the rook. The rook that was repositioned for queenside attack here goes over to e8. Rook e8. All right. Carissa's move. It's a 28th move. Carissa, what is
28th move. So now she takes the pawn on c5.
Oh, wow.
So she's attacking the knight,
And also the bishop.
also attacking the bishop.
Okay. And you know what happened here? What Tyro did here? Tyro realized that she will be losing a piece because let's demonstrate to our viewers. We've got to save the queen.
Yep.
Okay, and we have the attack on this. So if the queen moves, say the queen moves back to A8,
A8, yeah.
still protecting the bishop. Of course, the rook is also here. All we're going to do, let's demonstrate this. Can actually Carissa just simply eliminate take off the bishop, or would that be recommended?
Yeah, I think that would work.
Right. Right. And then we take with the rook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. We take with the rook. Okay. And now actually we can simplify things by just simply coming down here, check.
Check.
And of course he had to, we got it.
We can't. The queen can't take
because of mate.
She'll get mated.
So the rook would have to come here.
Right.
And then we would have queen takes here, right? And then the rook would take here, but Carissa will be a full piece ahead, and she will stop. There's no threats of queen here because she will able to control this.
Right, and for the rest of the game, she's threatening checkmate
here. Oh
yes,
so she's always threatening here with the mate.
So black is
So that's why
black is lost. Yeah.
That's why black resigned. Tyro Manuela Rovira Contreras resigned here. Okay. Now, what else do we have to say about this Olympiad? I've been looking at my notes.
Do you want to mention the Shankland?
Oh, yes. Well, yes. There was an incident actually in the open division with the U.S. men's team.
Yeah.
This was actually, do you know what round this was played? When Sam
it was one of the later rounds, and it was against Armenia, I think.
Okay. In that round, Sam Shankland got himself in a situation where he ended up playing an illegal move. Right.
Right. Well, the unfortunate thing is his opponent was in time trouble.
Yes.
But what sometimes happens is players get caught up in their opponent's time trouble, and they start rushing, even though they're not in time trouble.
Right.
And his opponent picked up his queen. Sam thought he was going to check him in the corner, and he was already grabbing his king because he thought it was going to be check.
Right.
And then he realized the opponent didn't put him in check.
So,
but he had grabbed his king already.
So he made an illegal move by moving. Well, he had touched his king.
He had touched his king, and he realized to make the move he was going to would be moving into check.
Right.
But then he realized he had grabbed the king, so he had to move it.
Yeah.
And the only square he could move it to was going to be a losing move.
Yeah.
So that changed the outcome of the match from the U.S. If he had gotten a draw, which he was on track to do, the U.S. would have beaten Armenia.
Would have won the match.
But because he lost, it was a drawn match. So if that hadn't happened, the U.S. could have medaled potentially.
Right, exactly.
So one little slip, he just moved too quick. He just grabbed his king too quickly, assuming he knew what his opponent was doing, and
it's sad because as we say,
it was, and he obviously he felt terrible. I mean.
Well, again, the U.S. team was the favorite to win this year's U.S. Challenge. And when was the last time the U.S. actually won an Olympiad? It was in 2016. They did win it in 2016.
Yes, not that long ago.
But you know how long before then? We'd have to go back to 1976.
Wow.
You know what country dominated chess? For the past 50 years. I mean,
Soviet Union and then Russia.
After the collapse of the Soviet Union, I mean, Russia dominated the Olympiads.
But Russia wasn't there this time.
No. Two strong countries, Russia and China.
Right.
Two strong playing countries not make it. And the next Olympiad is going to be in, you said Budapest, Hungary, right?
Yeah.
In 2024.
Yeah.
Well, Chess Chat fans, we hope you enjoyed the game that Dave and I presented to you from Carissa here, our Wachula Chess Club champion from 2014. And stay tuned next time for a 50th anniversary of Bobby Fischer winning the World Championship. He did it exactly 50 years ago, and we're going to present a celebration of that on our next Chess Chat. Stay tuned for that.